So, welcome everybody. I haven't done a video in a long time because I haven't really had that much going on, but this just is happening. I bought this car yesterday. I had to go to Port Huron, near Port Huron, Michigan, to pick it up. This is a 1965 Plymouth Belvedere 2. It has power steering, power brakes, 383 headers, mild cam, Edelbrock carb. Interior is okay. The paint and body are okay, but it does have some down low issues which we can address. I think these are the old appliance wheels. I'm not sure on these wheels and tires, but they're not going to stay on the car. I like skinnies on the front and fatties on the back. So chrome looks pretty good. I think everything will clean up. It has a misfire, and I think it might have a lifter issue, which the minute he started it up, I saw from the look on his face he was kind of busted. So we may have to pull a cylinder head. I don't know, but I really like these body styles. This is kind of a bucket list car. Good friend of mine when I was in high school had one of these, and we used to just have fun riding around in it. A 383 tuned right, and everything it'll be fun to drive, and I'm sure that my wife will be able to deal with it. This isn't a sport model at all. It has a pretty much standard interior, no gauges, so we'll fix that. Shifter on the column, no bucket seats, but she can slide over and sit up next to me. Missing door sash part of it. I don't know what happened to it. Looks like they cut it or something. Everything looks like it'll clean up good. Glass is in good shape. Windshield, back windows, everything seems to work. Wiring wise, blower was working and stuff. Got to check and see why these rear lights aren't working. The underdash light works. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'm going to get it unloaded and get it in the garage and wiped down and cleaned up today, and shoot exhaust temperatures on it and see where we're at with this engine. So that's what we got going on. Okay, so a little backstory on this car is the previous owner had it for 4 or 5 years, and he just didn't warm up to it, and then he let it set a lot. So it had a pretty good miss in it when I looked at it, and I called him on that right away, and he thought that it had an exhaust leak or a header gasket leak, and I said no, it's missing. So this morning, after getting it unloaded off the trailer, I shot some temperatures and found this cylinder here was dead cold. So I pulled the spark plug wire out, and I don't know if you can see in there, but it didn't change the idle at all, so that means that was the culprit that was not firing. And the end of the spark plug wire and everything just fell apart, disintegrated. So probably all the rest of these are bad too, but I don't want to mess with them right now. I just want to hear it run on 8 cylinders so I can evaluate the engine. Just happened to have some ends, so I stripped the bad part off and found the wire was broken and made this up. So I'm going to go reinstall it and we'll fire it up and see if it runs on all 8 again. Okay, that repair got spark back to that cylinder, but this cylinder here in the front and this one here in the back are about 145, 150 degrees. These two middle ones are 350. Everything on the other side is 350 or so. So these plugs are either fouled or there's something going on under them rocker covers. So, but in the meantime, this carburetor is probably going to have to come off and be cleaned, because you can turn these idle mixture screws in and out all you want to and it doesn't change anything, and it's idling pig rich. So hopefully it's just the plugs are fouled. So in the meantime, I'm going to dump some of this stuff in the tank. We don't know if these cylinder heads have been rebuilt or if what they have, so this will help start cleaning the fuel system up too a little bit. And maybe I'll take it up and down the road a couple times and see if I can't clean the plugs off. Okay, so we've overcome spark plug wire. I think the plugs are fouled out, but it's sparking on all 8 spark plugs now. But this back one here, I don't know what number these are on Mopars yet. But anyways, that's still running real cold, and we still will not respond to these idle adjustment mixture screws at all. I can screw them in, take them literally out, and it still just sits there and idles. Then I took it down the road and it ran a lot better, and it laid some rubber, and I ran it out and it ran right out of fuel. Well, it's got somebody put a clicky clack fuel pump on there, so I'm beginning to understand why. And but there's a slug of dirt, or there's something in this carburetor is plugged up. It's flowing plenty of fuel. We tested it, and it really gushes a lot of gas. So the filter's not really plugged. I thought maybe it had collapsed or plugged from age, but it's not. So the carburetor is so plugged up right now that it'll start and then stall. So I'm going to have to just pull this carburetor off and rebuild it, and just going to have to wait until I get a rebuild kit for it, or just get another carburetor, but that's starting to get expensive. So I have an ultrasonic cleaner, so let's just clean it. All right, so here's what I found was that jet right there was unscrewed, and it was laying in the bottom of the bowl. This jet's fine, so I'm sure that might answer the issue of why it wasn't responding to these idle adjustment screws. I'm not gonna try to rebuild this carburetor all at once. I think I'm gonna see what Edelbrock recommends for initial setting on idle, and then I'm gonna see if these floats are sticking at all. They don't seem to be sticking, but maybe get the needle and seat out and clean them and put it back on and see what it does. And then option number 2 is a Holly will fit right on there. And this is a 750 double pump that I've got that I built for the Chevelle, and I got to put that on. But I just wanted to verify that it would fit, and that the butterflies would open and not bind. So I don't know if I can't get this Edelbrock sorted out, I probably will just order a List 3310, or maybe like a Street Brawler 650. This 383 isn't going to need a whole lot of carburetor. Okay, so here's where we're at with my newly acquired 383 in a 65 Belvedere. The carburetor, it seems to be okay. I took the top off. I think it's going to need a float adjustment, because when I accelerate and then get on the brakes, it stalls the motor. So that's another issue. But we're still not quite running on 8 cylinders, and so troubleshooting process has been new plugs, and then we discovered that number 2 and number 8 on this bank here, they were loose and covered with oil. So that would, so I went and bought a new set of spark plugs, immediately changed those. Number 2 came back to life. Number 8 still has not come back to life. So we checked the spark on the wire, and it's getting spark to the plug. We grounded the plug to the intake manifold. The plug is firing. When I removed the plug, it looked like it hadn't been firing, because it was so darn clean. So another thing I did was check the rocker arms and the valve springs to see if there was anything broken or loose, and turned the motor over and verified that the valves are opening and closing, and then did a compression test, and it came right up to 150 in 3 pumps. So I'm sure now that we're just chasing an ignition issue. Well, upon inspection of the cap, the inside of the cap has aluminum contactors, and now this is kind of far-fetched, but it's a theory, and we're going to test it, because I ordered a new cap with brass lugs in it, not aluminum. And I know from experience, my work experience in my life, that aluminum kind of anodizes itself over time. Corrosion is kind of an uncontrolled anodize, and it's non-conductive. So there's possible that it's just too much resistance to get the spark through there. Now, There's other things too, like with all that oil in the spark plug holes, oil does not conduct electricity well, so we're going to clean that out. For some reason, we're not getting a good electrical contact into that spark plug. So it could be here. It could be this, the ballast resistor. It could be the transistorized ignition. It could be the coil. So it's just a matter of going back through, and I'm kind of determined to just find the problem and not just blanket. I could just change all these ignition components out all at once, and probably the problem would go away, but I would always wonder just exactly what it was. So that's what I'm going to do, is one thing at a time until I find out exactly what's wrong. So to conclude the video on this so far, what we know now about this car is the engine runs way lean on the main jets, so we need to jet it up or put a Holley carburetor on there, which I have a zillion tons of parts for, and I don't want to collect parts for an Edelbrock. Exhaust leak, there is one on number 1, and it's been double gasketed, and I've been coiling, putting air coil on all these nuts. So we'll get those off and put a gasket on and check and see if the header's flat. There's a reason why that's happened. Power steering pump leaks pretty badly. There's no other oil leaks that I can discern on the engine. The car will cruise down the road, but in cruise mode it surges and hesitates, which agrees with the plugs reading chalk white, which means that basically the engine's running lean, but it's way over rich on idle circuits. So we need to either do this carburetor and invest in jets and stuff for Edelbrocks, or put a Holley on it. So that needs to be determined. But the goal is to get it running good, evaluate what it is, and get it over in the other garage for the winter. The Chevelle is going to go over here, and the Mustang, which is parked over here, which you can't see in the camera, that is going to go into storage for the winter, and I'll have it out of the way so we don't get any flying sparks on it. So that's where we're at with this car. I've got a good game plan, and the next video we'll start talking about the game plan and things that we're going to do with this car. And I like it, and it's making me feel good again. So something else to do. I think I put enough money into the Chevelle for now, and the Mustang doesn't need anything and shouldn't need anything. It's only got 13,000 miles on it, so maybe in the spring that might come up for sale. We don't know. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, putting up with my droning on endlessly about things, which that's what I do, and we're documenting it on camera. So if you like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. If you don't, this is just stuff for my kids to look at, maybe 30 or 40 years from now when I'm dead and gone, and they can say, oh, here was my dad. So thanks for watching.